sport of fun. I can't swim. I never could swim. I never will swim. I'll put me down. Let go my legs. I told you, will you shut up? I told you I can't swim. Oh no. Put me down. I hate water. Will you shut up?
Never learned to swim. Can't catch the rhythm of the stroke. Why should I hold my breath? Feeling that I might choke. Things you blow because of things you swim through. Why pull your nose despite your face? With the rhythm it takes to dance to what we have to live through. You can dance underwater and not get wet. Oh! Psycho alpha disco beta fire.
Let me down. Let go my leg.
Psycho alpha disco beta bio aqua doing. Psycho alpha disco beta bio human
I hate water. Let me go. Put me down. You're all wet.
never mean to drown. Ain't comprehend all the strokes.
Why should I hold my breath?
Feeling that I might choke. There's magic rhythm, one with the real drum. Right through your nose, just fight your face. With the rhythm it takes to dance to what we have to live through. You can dance underwater and not get wet.
I am the nose. I don't swim. I don't dance. I don't swim or dance. I'm too cool to swim or dance. I might get my hair wet. I don't even sweat. I'm cool. Go ahead, put your phone. Put me down. Turn me loose. I'll let go my leg. I hate water. Oh, leave me alone. You're crazy.
It's time for the Bobby Eaton Show, where we tell our stories our way. Turn the volume up. It's the Bobby Eaton Show.
Yo, yo, yo. Yo, 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 yo. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Y'all are tuned into KBOB 89.9 FM, where we are telling stories our way here with the Bobby Eaton Show on this happy Monday evening. Y'all, I am Kiori Taylor, and I'm going to be your host for tonight, and I'm super excited to have so many wonderful guests here. It is an all-female crew. We have Daryl already tuned in, giving us lots of feedback. And so I'm ready. I'm super ready. Guys, today we're going to be doing this in a pretty exciting format where we're going to kick it off with the first four ladies. We'll have ladies coming in throughout the next 2 hours who will give their opinions as well. And today we're just talking about all things Black women, and we're really excited about it. And so before we go ahead and kick off, I'm going to go ahead and have everyone introduce themselves, starting here.
Hi, everyone. I'm Talia Mayberry.
Good evening. My name is Janae Mard.
Hey, everyone. I'm Darla Liggins.
All right.
Oh, good evening, everyone. My name is Amanda Morrell.
Okay. Well, y'all heard it. We're all here. We're all here. I had to adjust the sound a little bit. It's like first time with an all female crew. Actually, it's my first time having a full crew on the station. So shout out to y'all being my first here. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, for everyone who is tuning in, feel free to engage with us in the chats. I'm going to be reading them. I'm not sure I'm going to get to all of them, but I definitely want to hear what you all have to say. All right, so to get started, tell me, what is it like? How does it feel to be a Black woman on this Monday?
That's a good question.
Anyone can start.
Janae, it seems like you have something to say.
Well, I mean, I can start. That's okay. Honestly, I'm thinking about how I feel right now, and I'm just tired. But I'm not tired because of being a Black woman, though, right? Like I'm just kind of drained. Have been traveling for the last week and a half. Have been to a funeral and lots of emotional labor. And for me, it was something that's new, simply because I have never experienced death for myself. So I'm like supporting my boyfriend and things like that. And I did not grow up learning how to be nurturing like that. So it was a stretch for me, but so I'm just tired and exhausted, but in a good way, I guess.
I mean, you came out the gate talking about nurturing as a Black woman for love that you did not experience. I'm like, dang, I thought this was an easy
I'm
question.
just saying, listen, y'all asked me to go first. That's what's on my mind this morning. I'm tired, y'all.
Oh man, that's okay. It's okay. All right, Darla.
You know what? I had a really busy day today. So I'm juggling kind of multi identities here as a Black woman, as a black mother, as a Black wife, as a Black friend, as a Black daughter, as a Black sister. And today I had an epic fail as a mom, and it kind of threw me off my game a little bit. So I feel like I am so happy to be in fellowship and community with all of y'all right now, because it helps to really push against that the weight that Black women can often feel about being perfect, right? And so as we are navigating so many different intersecting identities, I just feel at peace with my sisters, even in my mess. So that's how I feel, at peace with my sisters, even in my mess.
Yes. I was about to say, let me co-sign on what Darla's saying right now. This Monday was just such a great Monday for community. I feel like just all the text messages that were coming through were either my line sisters or my friends in South Carolina. So it was just one of those things, or even friends here where
I was like, I know I texted you today. Give me some credit.
All the community. No, but seriously, I just think that this Monday really represented Black women and community, and really holding people accountable with the mess or with the really beautiful things that have happened, right? So it's just I felt loved, I felt held accountable. I felt a little girl, I knew that wasn't what you had said, but we were going to let you feel the way you felt, and then you were going to come back to us and tell us how you really felt. Those were the type of vibes that I was getting today, but it was all love.
All love. Talia?
Yes, so I feel like I'm in a combination of both you, Janae, and Darla, with feeling I'm tired too, girl. I'm tired too. I have a 1-year-old, and she is sick right now. So Darla, as you know, that kind of goes into all the things that we have to do as a mom and being in those spaces. And just with, I think over the last month, Mondays have just been hard for me. I've recently entered a new career, and so just trying to be so many things at one time. Trying to show up at home, trying to show up as a sister, as a friend, like you said, Darla, and then a mother, as a spouse. So Monday it's just the beginning of the week. It's like, okay, hey, you got the whole week ahead of you. So it can come with a lot of different feelings, a lot of different emotions. So tired, but also I am happy to be in this space. And so I'm already, first question, I feel like something has just been lifted off of me already. So I'm excited about it.
Shucks. Well, I'm glad that y'all are here. I'm glad that people are taking a breath or a sigh of relief off after the day. Me on a Monday, I'm feeling refreshed. Like I had a really great weekend full of family and full of good things. And today my little sister turns 25. And so when I leave here, we're going to continue to celebrate. And I just feel like I was on the up this weekend and I'm just keep going up. And, I'm trying to keep all of this energy because when you wake up tomorrow, it might not be there.
Right.
I'm just keeping it all in.
Ride the wave.
Okay, so I would say I want to kick it off with the first question, but does anyone have a burning topic that they just want to dive into? No?
No, ma'am.
Okay, then I got one for you. Tell me this. What is it like? We're just going to start off strong in relationships. What is it like, Black women, relationships in Tulsa? And you can speak from your own experience or you can speak from your community's experience. But let's talk about it. And I'm going to just kick it off and say, this is nothing like I thought it would be when I moved back here. And it's nothing like I thought it would be because I don't know if I just imagined that, when you go from like high school and like everyone has to go to the same school. So there's going to be other people there that you might be attracted to. And then you go to college and it's like you might not be attracted to everyone, but at least there's still options. But somehow I feel like I've just kicked over into the professional world. And it's like folks was not allowed to be into the spaces that I'm in. And while I am attracted to Black men, I also feel like I'm attracted to anyone who is of high value and nurturing spirit who's attracted to me. And I just feel like the options out here are still slim, even when I broaden it up. So
did you do the 100 miles? Did you make sure that your app had 100 miles on it? Like that's
yes, but here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm such a quality time person. Yeah. I'm such a physical touch person. It's like, I'm not even talking about nothing crazy. I'm talking about laying up on the couch while I watch TV, like while I'm trying to cook food. If I want to come and have you taste it, like if you out of town all the time, except for twice a month, like we're going to have problems just because of me. Like, I know I'll be the problem. I'll be like, hold up. So are you coming down? No, I have to work. But why? It's like, what about you? You got your 100-mile radius on?
Sure do.
And how's that working out for you?
The same that it's working out for you. We're all rowing in this boat together.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, come on. Keep them coming.
Well, I actually am in a long distance relationship right now. This is a guy that I've known for almost 15 years at this point. So we've been friends for a really long time. And, we just started our relationship actually June 1st. So we'll be a year on June 1st, which is really exciting. And Kiore, I agree. I understand. I feel what you feel too. Way too far. He lives in Michigan. That's far away. I got to take 2 planes to get over there. So, but you know what? I just with myself as I've been, because prior to this relationship, I was abstinent and single for like 3 years. So during that time, right, I'm like, well, who is Janae? What do you like? What are your habits? All those things. So I just learned about myself, just being like extremely impatient and also a very extreme type, black and white type of person, right? I don't want to just be vegan. I want to be alkaline. It's like, why do you have to go all the way to the end of the spectrum, right? So those are 2 things for me that I'm learning in this long distance relationship is patience. Because I like the guy, I trust the guy, I've known the guy forever at this point. So it's kind of like, what's the rush to forever? Yeah. And that's kind of like how I try to prep myself and just stay okay with the fact that we live in 2 different states right now.
I hear you when you say what's the rush to forever, but I feel like also when the seasons change and the sun starts to come out
I mean,
and everybody's doing everything all the time, like I don't want to always show up with my girlfriends. You know, like I will, but I do wish sometimes I had other options.
yeah.
And, you know, it's the consistency of it. And I think it's just like being able to start to build that partnership that's important.
Mhm.
One thing that really resonates with me is I've changed so much as a person from, you know, being young to being in college to being a professional, now moving into a different city. And I'm just like, whoever I find is not going to get to know all these versions of me. And I feel like I'm going to be recounting, well, one time I did this and one time I did this. And now I'm just like, can I find somebody who will be there when I get to the next place so I don't have to recount everything all the time? Darla, how you feel?
Well, you know, I have definitely been there. So, my 20s were really me climbing, so trying to figure out my career, um what was, what I wanted to do with my life, while also navigating singleness and trying to understand who I am as an individual. I felt so much pressure as I was getting closer to 30. Like I remember when I was between like 20 to like 25, I was like, okay, I'll be married by the time I'm 30. And then 26 comes around, the 27 comes around, the 28 comes around, and 29 comes around. You feel all this pressure building. So you're like,
I'm not even 29 yet.
you feel all this pressure building. And then once I hit 30, I actually I exhaled, like I breathed a sigh of relief, because I realized that it wasn't the end of the world, even though in my mind I had like this mental timeline that I was holding myself to. And I didn't end up finding my now husband until I was like 30 and a half. And it took a lot for me to get there, to get to the point where I was actually open to trusting someone again, because your 20s, you also can go through so much heartbreak. Like
Yes.
I have been through the ringer. And as Black women, we get to that point where we say, okay, I'm just focused on myself. I'm gonna get myself together, me and my goals, and like all these things. And that's where I was like, okay, I'm getting debt free. I'm, getting tight in the gym, all this stuff. And we ended up crossing paths. And he made me forget all of the crap that I had been through up until that time. And what I say is that, yes, you do need to be strategic and intentional about your dating life, but you also want to like enjoy your life.
Yes.
So you don't want to spend so much time thinking about, okay, well, the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, because you get to a certain point where you realize, wow, I wasted a lot of my years. So I would just say, continue to be intentional about your dating life. Continue to not just accept anybody, while also like living your best life. And that's what I see y'all doing. So,
Oh my goodness! Tell me, what does it mean? Not you, Darla. No. What do y'all? What do y'all think it means to be intentional about your dating life?
That's tough,
a good
because
question.
the
Yeah.
options here ain't real. It's not a lot. So
I mean, but being intentional about your dating life, though, it's like that's on you, like as a person. My opinion is that. What do y'all think?
I feel like it's just having like knowing what you want. Like, how do you see your future? Really kind of putting yourself in a position to say, like, hey, what is the ideal person that I see myself with? What type of, if I want a family, what type of family do I see? You know, and when you're going on these dates or having these conversations and all of that, just really seeing if your values align. I mean, you hit it right on when you say, Kiori, finding somebody who has the same values and that nurturing spirit. So once you kind of have a picture for yourself, and you can go into those spaces and kind of, you know, okay, well, he touched on this or he said this, and kind of make that connection. Because I feel like that, and I'll share a little bit about my dating life story, whatever, but I never ever thought that I would be with somebody from Tulsa, like at all. At all. So I completely get it when you say not, but not, I ain't knocking the guys in Tulsa, because I'm about to marry.
That's not what we're doing.
Yeah. Right. So, you know, some people may think, but just
we're not gonna do that.
right.
We just gotta give the disclaimers.
Yeah, we do gotta give the disclaimer, right? Because then they gonna be like, but anyway, but you know, I had like throughout my college days, all that, I was playing basketball. I traveled around the world for a little while. I come from a family of 5, so 4 siblings, it's 5 of us. I'm the oldest, so I've always had like that nurturing mom type vibe. And I would tell my teammates in college, like, y'all, I'm gonna be married and have my first kid by the time I'm like 23. And they like, Talia. And I'm just like, I want the like, I love family, and I love that part of it. But I mean, life happens, and you know, it's not at that young age, I never could have really known what my life would be. So it just all kind of happened organically. I mean, I moved back. I met my fiance, who we've been engaged for 2 years now, and have a little girl. And so it's nothing as I pictured, nothing how I thought it would be, but I'm really in a place where we have a very strong partnership, and like we're building and growing together, and thinking about things that in my early 20s, even towards the end of my 20s, I'll be 30 in June, y'all. But I didn't think, you know, this is what potential marriage would feel like, or this is what it needs to be. So you know, it just, life happens, and it just opens your eyes to so many different things.
That was good.
It was so good.
That was good. I mean, but I think what Talia's saying is true. And then also thinking about, like, so if you are clear about what you're looking for, are you clear for yourself about who you are as well, right? So it's like, you know, when you're looking for that person, it's like, are you mirroring, or are you like projecting like
Or
what you're looking for? Or
complimenting.
complimenting, yeah. So are you complimenting like what you're looking for? And so if you are, I think eventually, right, you attract that person. Like I said, we don't know where he's coming from what sky, from what, you know, train he's coming through, airplane, car, right? But I think that whole idea of like, you're clear about who you would hope he to be, or you're clear about yourself, like I think that's when things hopefully start to align.
Well, this gives me 2 different tangents, okay? And I'm gonna let y'all take it in whichever direction that y'all want. And before I say that, I want everyone to make sure y'all talk into the mic whenever y'all talking. And you'll want to talk into the side of it. Okay, so two tangents here. One, I think it's really hard, you know, as single Black, you know, motivated women to continue to keep hope alive for the person that's just out there, when you like, okay, there's all this time is going by. At what point, you know, like you're applying all of the best practices that everyone is giving you, and you're like, okay, so how do you coach yourself to keep hope alive and to keep wanting to improve? Because to be fair, we all know we should do it for ourselves.
Right.
You know,
Right,
it's like
right.
you have to do it for yourselves.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that is hard. Go ahead, Darla, what you gonna say?
I was gonna say to like offer yourself grace, because you know we're going to continue to be works in progress for our entire lives. So you don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And you know, I think that the pressure that society puts on women is not the same type of pressure that they put on men. Not to say that men don't feel pressure, they feel a different type of pressure. But for us, we are taught that, you know, you need to look a certain way, you have to talk a certain way, you need to have, you know, achieve this and achieve that. And this, it seems as though the bar continues to be raised, and so women, we find ourselves like running the rat race, trying to keep up with everything, and you end up burnt out and tired. And so uh what I had to learn too, and what I'm continuing to learn, is that we have to offer ourselves grace. We have to combat like negative thoughts with positive thoughts, and like the truth about like who we are, and that really takes into account, you know, what we listen to, the people we keep around, what we see, what we ingest, because it manifests in how we show up. But I would say continue to offer yourself grace. And you know, I love me some Tracy Ellis Ross. And I feel like she is, you know, free in her skin. And that's how I want us all to be, no matter what label or identities that we have. We just want to exude happiness and, you know, just being our most freest, authentic selves. And like these I'm gonna stop because I'm long-winded, but y'all get what I'm saying.
What that reminds me of is I was in a meeting the other day, and when I say the other day, it was sometime in the past, and they were talking about how for women, like the peak of your career is also the peak of time for you to have children. And the fact that you have to deal with the pressure of both of those at the same time.
Right.
Like if you don't figure out how to, you know, go through your career quickly to be able to start being promoted into new levels between late 20s, early 30s, then it's like you're missing out. And a lot of people say like that's the like that time is the distinction, whatever you choose, between people who have it all and people who like get stuck in like having a career only or being a mom only. And it's like when I heard that, it kind of stung a little bit because like I don't feel like I should have to choose.
Right.
But when we talk about intentionality, I always try to think about both of them. And one of my guy friends was telling me, well, Kiore, you know, we know that you're a professional, but you know, because you're such a good professional, you got to figure out how to be a little bit more softer and a little bit more feminine and a little bit more all of these things to like really balance. And I was just sitting there, I was like, it's not,
No.
it's not.
It's not all that.
I don't want it that bad. No, I do, but
Yeah, you know what? I that was something actually for me that I wanted to do. So I'm originally from New York City, and we fit that stereotype: aggressive, mean, loud, all those things, confident or cocky, whichever way you want to look at that. And I definitely embodied all of those things. Like I'm coming in the room, I'm shutting it down. You think I'm 6'5" and I'm like 5 foot tall. So during that time that I mentioned about the abstinence and things like that, that's something that I wanted to work on for me. It was like, I do want to be a softer person, because if I'm gonna chew your head off after you just came outside from dealing with your type of pressure, this house is not a home. It's not peaceful. I'm not peaceful. I'm riled up too. You know what I mean? And I don't have the answer to that, but that's my experience. And I also just think about, what does it mean to be feminine, right? I think that it can look different ways. And femininity might be like the door that you got to knock on, but I think it's grace that we have to figure out how to be graceful, how to be peaceful. And that's something that I didn't grow up in a house where I saw that. So that's something I had to learn for myself. And it just, you know, it came from small things like pampering myself, being with more women, and trusting more Black women, because I know that I'm a truthful person. Therefore, I know that you all are truthful, and I don't want y'all to tell me the truth. You know what I mean? Like, I don't. So, but I think when we start to sharpen each other's iron, we get better at that, of whatever that femininity looks like for ourselves, and knowing when to be quiet, because we talk a lot, and it's not wrong. Right. But it's like, I think it's, and I think it's not even just like a man woman thing, just in general. people have to learn when to like you don't have to win all the time. And we can win, and we like to win. Especially when you're an entrepreneur and you in the game and you in your career. You're not gonna let nobody tell you something that you know is not right. You know what I mean? So this choosing your battle type of thing can be difficult.
And asking, like,
and receiving.
Yeah, like you
too.
You can learn when to talk and when not to talk, but also learn how to ask. Are you looking for a collaboration partner right now?
You taught me that.
Or you look, girl, my friend taught me that.
Yes.
Okay, before I step on any other landmines, are we discussing this,
right,
or am I listening?
Right.
I'm always be ready to
help,
collaborate,
to support.
But there's nothing wrong with doing both. That's for sure. So this kind of leads me, man, it's crazy because my second vein that I wanted to go into is like, are there deal breakers for relationships? Because I think that that's important. And I feel like when people found out that we were doing Black Women Speak, it was the men who were like, talk about relationships.
Wow.
Like, yo, what y'all trying to find out? So it's like, let's make sure we're giving people information that they can use. Like what kind of guy, would be a deal breaker? What are the qualities that we're like, we can't do that? Speak up. Amanda, starting with you.
I thought we were gonna start with somebody else. I could collect my thoughts. I mean, can I talk about what is actually like what I would like? I think that's actually a better place to start from. Maybe it's like saying like, hey, here's what I'm actually looking for. Like I'm looking for a collaborator. So like I want somebody that like, I think my big thing is like if I could say like what love means to me. Love means that one, like we can collaborate, I can support you, you can support me, but also like I can be honest with you and you can be honest with me, and you can be vulnerable with me and I can be vulnerable with you. Like so if we have that and I can find that and that's what you're coming with and presenting, then that's a win. Like that's a win. But I feel like a lot of times when you're doing the dating thing with people, right? That vulnerability piece is really hard to find because everybody has all of these walls up and layers. Whereas like one of my friends likes to say prickly pear.
Yeah.
It's like sweet on the inside, but you got to get there first, right?
Follow-up question for you though. Do you feel like you are patient with the men that you are dating to let them get to a point where y'all can be vulnerable back and forth?
That's a great question. So I was literally just having this conversation on Friday. And so I'm in the middle of learning patience, and just really being honest with myself that like, everything's not black and white. Everything's not yes and no. So really figuring out like, what's that balance? And like, I think Janae was even talking about like, what's the balance, right? Of being like peaceful and graceful. And so really bringing that to the table and say like, hey, like I can dial it back a little bit and be a little bit more patient because I will want someone to be patient with me.
That's real right there.
So who's next? What are the deal breakers?
I can't speak on like what you said, the things that I look for. Yeah. I think that for me, like within my relationship, so I was very like just super laid back, like throughout dating, I'm like, oh, we get along really well. Both of us are easy to, get along with, nothing, no feathers were ruffled. We were just smooth sailing, and so as kind of like we went on after the first year, second year, all that, we're dating for a long time. And I'm just like in that pressure of like, okay, maybe we need to settle down. I'm getting older, you getting older, we can, do whatever. And we really didn't. And so I said, well, I love you, you love me. So let's get married. And he's like, Talia, it is way more than that, And so honestly, y'all, things didn't really like hit home for me until we did a premarital counseling. And when I tell y'all, so many things came to surface, like just the way we're both made up, who we are as human beings, our background, I mean, coming from two different types of lifestyles, right? And you're bringing these two people together in a union, and there's just so much that goes into that, as well as just personalities. We're all wired with how we are. We were like that from birth. Our experience kind of molded us to who we are, and then you're integrating into a couple and that union and all that. And so things really started popping up. We're like, okay, we got to dig into this. We got to dig into that. And that vulnerability piece is so key, because you can't get down to the root of it unless you are able to be vulnerable. And then on the other side of that is like, okay, can I be vulnerable with you? And if I do, how are you going to respond to that?
Mhm.
Yes. How are you going to receive it? How are you going to respond?
Weaponize it, or are you gonna
Exactly.
support me?
Exactly. So there were so many things that we're still, working through things. It's constant work. And I mean, I'm not, Darla she's shaking her head because she knows it is a daily thing. And so I think that, and I don't even know if I really answered the question, but just kind of going into everything that goes into it, because on the outside it seems this type of way, and you're like, okay, well, we mesh well and this and that, and then when you really unpack and you get underneath those covers, it is a whole nother world. So, and I'm really learning that more now than ever. Yeah.
Janae, you have any final thoughts on this topic?
Oh, for me, any form of abuse. That's just
Yeah.
a straightforward answer for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
That's
going to
it.
say narcissism.
Yeah.
I was over there with you, girl. I was over there with you. Like, there are deal breakers, and that is one of them. All right. Well, hey, y'all. We are getting ready to take a really short break, and we will be back right quick. So don't go anywhere too far. Y'all are listening to KBOB 89.9, where we are having Black women speak.
If your credit starts with a 3, 4, 5, or 6, this is for you. Did you know that it's costing you to have bad credit? You can't get qualified for that house or apartment, and you're paying high interest rates, along with paying high car insurance, and it may be costing you that job that you really want. What are you waiting on? Take more of a holistic approach. Pick up the phone and call the Credit Shiro at 832-642-1554 or text CAMP to 76626. With 13 amazing services, we restore and repair generations to come. Once again, call the Credit Shiro at 832-642-1554 or text CAMP to 76626. If you know better, you do better. Only the Credit Shiro can help you to save the day.
Hello, Tulsa. This is Janetta Tolles with Sunday Dinner and More by Janet, your weekend soul spot. Every Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. We're located 531 East Apache in the historic Apache Circle Center. Of course, during these times, it's carry-out only, but you can call 918-951-5143. That's Sunday Dinner and More by Janet.
Can't fool myself, I don't want nobody else to ever love me. You are my shining star.
P&J Publishing Incorporated announces a new book release, The Entrepreneurial Woman. The World is Your Playground by Angela K. Chambers, MES. Available right now for pre-order at payhip.com/B/NBAC. The book release is set to hit June 1st, 2020. If you're ready to publish your book, visit us online at www.pnjpublishing.com. Unleash that book that's inside of you with P&J Publishing.
Everybody's talking about you and her together. How could you do that to me?
North Star Security and Private Investigation provides over 35 years of experience to ensure your security and investigation needs are met. Our officers are CLEAT and state certified. If you are seeking employment, stop by our website at www.northstarsecurityandpi.com. For details on quotes and employment opportunities, call today at 918-248-6592. That's 918-248-6592. North Star Security and Private Investigation.
Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Right now, you all are tuned into the Bobby Eaton Show, and today I'm going to be your host. I'm Kiori Taylor, and super excited to, just be hosting a great conversation of Black women speak. We have done a little bit of a switcheroo for this next segment that we're getting ready to go into, and it's only because we want to make sure that you guys are getting as many insights as possible. So we're going to do another round of introductions just before we dive back into this great conversation. So I'm Kiore.
I'm Darla.
Charity.
Talia.
And I'm Lindsay.
Okay. All right. So to kick this off, we just finished our first segment where we were talking about all things relationships. We talked about, just being confident in your own skin. We talked about giving yourself grace. And additionally, we also talked about what are some deal breakers in relationships and what are some things that, we wish that we seen around Tulsa and our local community, and all that was all fine and well. But one thing that someone said, Janae, in the last segment was, yeah, it took her some time to like learn how to trust men, but there was also this area that she was getting into about trusting women, trusting Black women to tell you the truth because we're just some honest people. So let's talk about friendships with other Black women. And I'm gonna just let Lindsay kick us off because she looks like she has a lot to say.
Sure, we'll go with that. I think I've always been pretty open to friendships with women. I think that it a lot of the time it's easier to form friendships with the opposite sex because you don't have to necessarily deal with people who are like you and have the same um personalities or characteristics as you do, and if they do, then they kind of express them differently. So for me that was always easier, but I've always been intentional about having female friends, just because mainly the honesty that comes with it. People being able to check you when you don't want to be checked, or be very brutally honest with you about things that happen in life that a guy may be like, whatever, okay, I'm just gonna just throw it out there, just spit it out. But like, think about sexually. So like, say that you're in college and you're a little bit promiscuous and you are a woman and you're just like, I'm having fun. Well, a guy's probably gonna be like, okay, cool, do you. But then you'll have a good female friend who's like, okay, sweetheart, like maybe we should look at how this looks, from another person's standpoint, or possibly, just be real and be like, this is too much. You really need to calm down. And basically, I mean, that's like the extreme of examples, but just the honesty of having women around, I've always been open to it. I've also lost some friends because of the honesty, like not being ready to accept that, or vice versa, me giving information or advice that they weren't ready to accept at that point. But it's an important component of life for sure.
Mm. Well, I can say that I was that friend who always had an opinion, and it was good sometimes and it bit me some other times. And so it's definitely something that I'm still working through. But for me, as far as friendships go, especially with other Black women, I would say one thing that I've had to overcome is I've never dealt with like intimidation or insecurity in the way that I deal with it in comparison to Black women. If ever I thought like a woman was smart, I'm like, oh, good for her. But if it was a Black woman who was in the same room as me, it's like, dang, she's smarter than me. And it becomes personal when, a Black woman has really strong attributes. Now, I've overcome that, and I definitely advocate for women and to show up and to not shrink. But I can do that now because I have experienced shrinking around other people just for the sake of just being like, well, she's the most popular. She's the one who's been dating everyone. She's the one who's more experienced than I am. She's the one who has all the internships. So you try to find your lane, and it's just like, well, I'm the church girl, and I'm just going to play my role the way that I know how to play my role, and, just shrink. And, that was really hard because the older that I got, and the more comfortable with myself that I became, and I started to decide I didn't want to shrink no more. Like, I wanted to be fully present and authentically myself. Then my friends, quote unquote, they didn't want that version. They wanted the person that they thought that they were better than, and I wanted to be the person who stayed in the friendship. And I was in a friendship for 9.5 years that I realized the only reason I was in the friendship is to say that I was in it for 10 years, not because I like the person.
Yeah.
And I feel like, yeah, that's my story. But I also feel like as I was growing up and creating relationships with other Black women, that was just my encounter. You know, when I was friends with white women, it was different. But I wouldn't say that it was as intimate of a connection either. I wouldn't say that I was fully myself or fully vulnerable. And so in a lot of cases, I just defaulted to being friends with guys too, because it's like nothing really matters. You want to hang out, they down to hang out. You don't want to hang out, they not taking it personal. You know? You don't tell them your business, they don't care. You do tell them their business, they don't listen, but they not listening. You know, it's like there's a lot of benefits there. That's my experience. What about you guys?
I've always predominantly had male friends, even in high school, growing up. You know, growing up with an adopted uncle that was like a brother. I just naturally hung out with him, played football out, you know, tackle football out in the side yard. You know, and I did, as I went through high school, I did have female friends. But again, like to your point, I didn't really, you know, I went to a predominantly white school. So again, I wasn't really like, we were friends, but there was still that disconnect there. And then even in college, it's just, again, for me, males were just a lot easier to deal with. Luckily, though, I had male friends that were like, pause, no, this is what he's doing. If he says this, if he says that. So I was lucky enough to have one, you know, male friends that would give me the insight on things, you know, if I was dating someone and, okay, well, they said this. Oh, okay, well, no, he's really trying to do this, or he really means that, or, you know, just leave it alone. So, and even to this day, like my female friend circle is like on one hand, like I really don't trust female Black women either. I've had that. I've gone through those hurts and deep rooted issues and had to get over it. But you know, then again, I'll back up and say I don't really just trust anybody in general. So I won't just say it's only Black women. But when it comes to friendships, yes, I am definitely, you know, highly cautious. Like I have like a 2-year mark. Like if you're still around in 2 years, I will then consider you like a friend. But before that 2 years, you on probation.
I'm laughing because I feel like that's true. You know, it's like I don't think there's anything wrong with being cautious with your peace of mind. And I don't think there's anything wrong with boundaries. And I think that experience will teach you that you have to let people show you who they are. And sometimes when everything's on the surface all the time, if y'all ain't never spent money together, if you ain't never traveled together, if y'all ain't never liked the same person, y'all don't even know what it means to be friends. And sometimes you just need time to have some of those experiences to see, can y'all even work through problems together? You know, calling people friends before y'all ever experience any problems together, beware. You know, beware. That's what I would have told my younger self.
Yeah.
Beware.
Right.
Darling.
Oh shoot. So man, I mean, I have so many thoughts. So like y'all, I definitely connected more with guys kind of growing up. I did have like my true few, but then I have moved a lot, and so I've noticed how my friendships have changed as I've like moved to new cities or to new places. And that's been really difficult for me because I've been reflecting on my friendships and I realized that I'm like the activity friend. Like I met a majority of my friends doing stuff, saying, okay, hey, like, let's go do this, let's go do that. But now, majority of my friends, you know, obviously we have thousands of miles between us. And so what I'm going to say, like, you know, hey, let's hop on FaceTime. It's not the same as, hey, let's go grab brunch. Let's go, you know, to this lounge. Let's go to this place. And so what I've been learning how to do is now my role as a friend is shifting, and it's causing me to grow in many ways because I have to make sure I'm doing more to check in on people, because I realize, oh wait, I want to be checked in on too. Like, I don't want to just, you know, be the activity friend. I want to be able to confide in you and be vulnerable with you and grow with you too. And so that's the point where I am in my friendship journey with women, is I'm learning to be a better listener. I'm learning to also be vulnerable so that other people can be vulnerable with me. I'm learning to it's helping me to be a more well-rounded friend, I would say, to Black women.
Oh yeah. And you really have to be especially I think as you just grow as an individual and as a professional, and even you know, to kind of taking it into leadership, you start to realize there are different things that make different people tick. Then you start to kind of realize like everyone has their own story. And then like when you are the activity friend that I have been myself, I'll know everything that a person, like, I don't know their favorite drink, their favorite karaoke song. I'll know, you know, what they did last weekend. And someone will be like, did you know that their brother was in the hospital? And I'm like, what?
That's why they didn't go out with me.
They never said anything. And it's like, and in my defense, I'm like, I care so much, you know? Like, I mean, I would have did something if I knew, but hey, I get it. Like, you have to be the friend intentionally that you want people to believe that you are, because otherwise it will get lost in communication. Talia?
Yeah. As far as like friendship for me, my whole life has been ingrained in the sport of basketball. So literally every friend I have, maybe of my close friends, there's maybe 2 that did not play basketball with me. My closest friends are my teammates. And so, you know, just going through college together and after college and playing ball and all that, you know, you develop just this. And it's funny because my fiance told me, you know, with some of your friends, it's like y'all just run off of history. Like, you know, we just have all these memories and everything. But, you know, I think the biggest challenge for me is how do we continue to grow together and evolve, you know, where our lives are changing. None of us play basketball anymore. You know, that's not our life anymore. We're doing different things. We're getting married, having kids, all of that. So just the intentionality behind it of, you know, let's evolve and grow, and we can be friends. You know, our friendship can develop, our friendship can become different, and it doesn't have to be a different as far as, you know, well, we're falling off or we're not doing the things that we used to do, but just being more intentional about keeping our connection. And so I think that's been the biggest thing for me as of late is I think Darla hit on it, of just showing up for my friends and them doing the same for me. You know, when my friend calls and it's like, if I have to jump on this flight to go down to Houston or Dallas or wherever, I'm coming, because, you know, that's how much I love and care about you. So just the evolution of it.
I think you brought up a really good point as far as like evolving. I think that one thing we don't consider with friends is when you are developing at different speeds, when you're at different points in life. And that's something that has been difficult for me. And I found myself like hanging out, you know, with people who are single, like Kiori and Andrea. And
I am single, guys.
Thanks
for double tapping.
But because like most of my friends that I have from college or that I grew up with, they're married. If they're not married, they have children. If they don't have one, then they have both. So like trying to navigate, you know, when can I hang out and be the third wheel with you and your husband? Or, hey, like, why do I need to call? Like, tell me what time I need to call you, because I don't want to wake up your sleeping child who's in your arms and you be pissed at me and cuss me out today because now you're not gonna get any rest. So just like knowing how to, like you said, how to be a friend in those moments. Like, what is it that you need from me? And sometimes you have to have those inorganic conversations of, hey, tell me, you sit here and tell me what kind of friend you need at this stage in life, or you tell me when it's too far. Like if I call you and say, hey, y'all want to go have drinks, it's okay to say, okay, yes, Lindsay, we would like to have drinks, but it's date night. Like you can't come tonight. And that was difficult for my friends because I mean, I am social. I do like to do things, and that's what they've always done with me. I mean, I'm a listener. We have deep conversations too. But like if we wanted to go out, we all went out together. So like, okay, how do I guess navigate the conversation of, hey, Lindsay, you can't do this because this is, exclusively couples or something like that. And sometimes it sucks. Like you're the single friend and you're like, well, I want to play games. I'm better at this than y'all are, but I can't show up because I'm single today. Like it sucks. But then, your time will come where you will be included in those activities.
But it's not these memories though.
It's not. It's really not. But I mean, then you have a chance to meet new people.
Yes.
And I found that a lot of the new people that I have met are more either where I'm going or where I want to be, or on that, on that same path as I am currently. And that's exciting to know, like I can pick up the phone and call someone who doesn't have to remember 5 years ago before they met their husband to give me advice. I can call someone who's like, girl, I understand. Like I'm single too. Yep. Let's get out of the house and let's go do something fun. So there's benefits to it.
I also have found that I did my first solo travel trip this year, and Lord knows that I have bit a bug because I'm about to start doing it more and more and more. But I will say I have gone to a few bars by myself, which I never thought I'd do. And I have had really great experiences doing that. And I'm like, whoa, whether it's the bartender and all those people, or people just come and talk to you, and those nights will just turn into, new relationships. Traveling by myself, at first I was a little nervous about it until I seen all these other people traveling by themselves. And it was so refreshing because you can go out and you can leave whenever you want, and you don't have to feel obligated to stay. If you don't want to go out, you don't know these people. You don't have to feel obligated to say yes. If you do want to go out and you go out every night, they don't know you, so they can't judge you on it. It's just like the kind of freedom that I experienced being out of town by myself. I was like, I definitely need to start walking in that freedom locally. But one of the things that we said earlier too is just being able to fall in love with yourself, being able to fall in love with your journey, not letting life pass you by. Like Darla said, like that is super duper important, because one thing I know for sure is that we all go through seasons. And recently I've been thinking about this a lot. I've been thinking about all the respect that I have for my friends who got married whenever they were 18 and 19. And it's not because they're in a relationship and they've been in a relationship 10 years. What I find impressive about it is that I have probably been 6 different people since I was 18.
Yeah.
These people have been 6 different people with each other. They have both been that many versions of themselves, and somehow they're still together. Like when I see guys who show me any sign of, all I know is I have options and I have a choice. But some of my friends who've been married since they was 18, they don't have no choice to go nowhere. And so, I have just kind of leaned into, okay, this is the season that I'm in. How do I make the most of it? Because at the end of the day, like, I don't want to look up and all this time has went by and I haven't even learned what I needed to learn in this season.
And I feel like that sometimes happens when you're looking too far in the future. Like you miss the lesson in where you are because you're too worried about getting married by 30. I mean, me personally, I said I'm graduating at 21. I didn't plan on getting my master's, but I knew I would be married by 25. Like that was my deadline. I'll be 29 in June, and I'm like, well, I guess we'll see what 30 holds. But just knowing, like you said, like living, you have to live in the moment. You have to enjoy where you are so you don't miss those lessons. I've learned some hard lessons by doing that, but I've also developed as a person. Like I know my strengths, I know my weaknesses, I know what, why people don't ask me questions or come to me when they really need advice because you may be a little bit too harsh, like we talked about earlier. And knowing like those things, you have time to develop them. And in those seasons are the time to develop it. But if you're too worried about what's happening in the future, you'll miss that mark.
I think what that rings true for me is I've learned that there are some lessons that I want to learn single. You know, if I have to learn how to communicate with someone, I've run into so many roadblocks. You just teach it to me while I'm single, because if you have to be with another person to learn things about you, I just feel like that is an area where I'm like, okay, God, I'll just go at your pace because I'm learning a lot of stuff about myself right now that I don't know if I could handle if I was learning it with someone else. And then they also had an opinion about what I'm trying to figure out. It's a lot. It's heavy.
So to be honest though, sometimes you don't learn those lessons until you are with someone, because that literally speaks to me, because I thought you could me in communication. Oh, I don't have a problem with that. I communicate. I'm a great friend. I do this. I don't. So when I got into a relationship and then it's like, well, you don't know I don't know how to communicate. I've never been told that before. Like I literally told him that. And so it brings things out of you that you wouldn't get with just yourself. So I completely understand, but it's just some things it's like I never would have discovered about myself until I had another person to really kind of help me unpack some of that stuff. Yeah.
I believe it. I'm just trying not to speed it up. I thought I was, but it turns out I'm not. It turns out I'm not. Anyway, guys, we're getting ready to go into another break here. I'm so glad that you all are tuned in with us at KBOB 89.9 FM. Y'all are tuned into the Bobby Eaton Show. We're not going anywhere. We're going to be right back after a short break. And so hold tight and we'll see you soon.
We do it all from any type of promotionals, from screen printing, embroidery, school uniforms, Greek lettering, workwear, monogramming. There's no job too big or too small and no location too far. Let us be your one-stop shop. We're located at 2808 East 15th Street, Tulsa, Oklahoma, 74104. Our phone number is 918-982-3254. Our email address is denise.tulsamidtown@gmail.com. Thank you.
Searching for ways to grow your business? Or perhaps you would like to invest in Tulsa's African American community? The Black Wall Street Chamber of Commerce is a great place to start. The Chamber was created to serve and increase the visibility of needs in our community. It is an umbrella organization for local businesses, the Tulsa Juneteenth Festival, BWS for Black Women in Business, and the Grassroots Economic Development Fund known as BWS The Power Group. For more information about the Black Wall Street Chamber of Commerce or to donate to the Power Group, visit bwschamber.com.
Hello, Tulsa. This is Janetta Tolles with Sunday Dinner and More by Janet, your weekend soul spot. Every Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. We're located 531 East Apache in the historic Apache Circle Center. Of course, during these times, it's carry-out only, but you can call 918-951-5143. That's Sunday Dinner and More by Janet.
Can't fool myself, I don't want nobody else to ever love me. You are my shining star.
If your credit starts with a 3, 4, 5, or 6, this is for you. Did you know that it's costing you to have bad credit? You can't get qualified for that house or apartment and you're paying high interest rates, along with paying high car insurance, and it may be costing you that job that you really want. What are you waiting on? Take more of a holistic approach. Pick up the phone and call the Credit Shiro at 832-642-1554 or text CAMP to 76626. With 13 amazing services, we restore and repair generations to come. Once again, call the Credit Shiro at 832-642-1554 or text CAMP to 76626. If you know better, you do better. Only the Credit Shiro can help you to save the day.
Hello, Tulsa. This is Janetta Tolles with Sunday Dinner and More by Janet, your weekend soul spot. Every Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. until 4 p.m. We're located 531 East Apache in the historic Apache Circle Center. Of course, during these times, it's carry-out only, but you can call 918-951-5143. That's Sunday Dinner and More by Janet.
Can't fool myself, I don't want nobody else to ever love me. You are my shining star.
Yo, we are back. We are back and we are ready for our third segment on Black Women Speak. There's only going to be 4 of them, so if you miss out on the first 2, definitely stay tuned. Y'all are tuned into KBLB 89.9 FM right now, and y'all are listening to the Bobby Eaton Show that is being hosted by me today, Kiora Taylor, and we're super excited to have you. All right, we did another switcheroo. Have more people out, and I'm just gonna let y'all know now we're listening to Janae, Charity, Jamila, and Lindsay, and we're going to kick off this next segment with what is it like to have interracial relationships. And I'm going to make this open. It doesn't have to just be romantic. It could be friendships, it could be work relations, whatever. But what's it like to have those interracial, experiences? We're gonna let you kick us off, Jamila.
I think it's interesting to say the least. And the reason I say that, I think that like me coming as Hosa was interesting because I would get stopped by these beige white men in the streets, and I was like, "You talking to me?" Like, "Oh, hey," and it was a different experience. But I think that relationship, like me with relationships or friendships with white women, is different than relationships with white men. Is what I found, and what I mean by that is typically like in my professional life, it's easier for me to report to a white man than it is to a white woman. The moment I walk in the room, it's a problem. And I'm like, oh my goodness, here we go again. Becky and Jane cutting up. You know what I'm saying? I don't have to check nobody. So there's that. But when it comes to like dating a white man, what I found is interesting is my communication changes with him. And I have a lot more grace, which is very interesting, to say the least. And I don't know, I don't know why that is. My daddy
Because the
listening.
natural question would be, why is that?
That part. And my dad's listening, and I listen, Pops, I love you. I don't want you to be mad. But my dad's like, what? But
y'all this was all
black. Literally, Pops is not having it. But the thing, the reason that I feel that way is I feel like, to be honest, because I've been hurt by someone that looked like this person before, I project on black men more than I project on white men, and I hold them to a different standard. And so because of that, I tend to react to things. So if you don't answer your phone and you tell me, "Oh, sorry, I left it in the car," you ain't leave it in no car, son. Like I'm aggressive and I'm angry. The white man tell me that. "Oh, you must have forgot it. That's a shame, babe. You good?"
Wow.
It's a whole nother outlook. Am I from
New York?
I'm not. My mom is though.
Oh,
I'm not.
okay.
But I know you are. I heard. But yeah, I think it's very interesting.
Ooh, so tell us more, Janae.
I have a completely different experience. I just don't. I mean, how do I say this in a way that's not going to shoot me down?
Girl, I already shot myself down, so you got it.
So, well, here's the thing. I have been hurt by a black man. I was in an abusive relationship, have like literally been hospitalized, right? Ultimately, though, I still have so much grace for just black people in general. And when I engage with either, whether it's white women or white men, they love me. And I don't know if it's because I'm a straight shooter.
Right.
And I just meet white people who are like, "Oh yeah, you don't hold any bars, right? Tell me more," or "I'm interested in this conversation," even though it can be triggering for them or even myself. Whereas like with black people, I don't know. Like I just am like, I understand the plight, right? We're all here. I've watched so many different things that I can just be a bit more. I understand what's happening. I understand how all of the things kind of come down on the shoulders of black people in general. So I think I have more grace because of that. Whereas like a white person, you don't get nothing from me because this whole system is rigged for you. Right. Like, so that's just kind of how I am. But interestingly enough, I connect more with white women than I do with Black women as far as like friendships. So when I was a child, my mom used to always tell, like my grandmother used to be like, oh, you're acting like a blonde. I guess because I was a free spirit. My mom would tell me that I dress like a white girl because, I dress how I want to dress or what have you. And just in general, right? Like I go skydiving, I've traveled to 10 plus countries and I do all these different things. And unfortunately, I have not met Black women like that who have just experienced different things in their life until like now, these last recent years. So prior to that, it was like I was hanging out with a lot of white people and actually having fun with them because they were living life and so was I. Whereas like other people that I knew who were Black, it's like they're not leaving the block. And I'm like, I don't got time for that.
That's BANANAS. That's crazy.
Yep.
You have to find your tribe though.
Yeah.
Absolutely, because my experience hasn't. All the Black women that I hang out with and that I've always been friends with have always either been at my level or above my level, and they've always challenged me to be and do better. And the white women, I gotta like help them with things. Girl, you still ain't got a passport? Okay, girl, let's go down here and get this because I need you to get that. Well, let's try to do this. No, you can't go in that country and say that. Not with me, next to you, because I can't go to jail.
Right.
So but. It's interesting. My father has always taught me that if you're the smartest person in the room, then you need to be in a different room.
Right.
And so all of my Black, like the women in my life are just amazing, right? And there's two that are sitting, there's three actually that are sitting right here, right? And so they're super dope and awesome. And I don't have many white female friends, which is interesting, I guess. But I don't have many white female friends, but I also have never dated a lot of white men. I've dated one. So let's not act like, okay, this is the trend. All right. You know what I'm saying? I've been holding Black men down like an anchor. Okay. So let's not play.
Talk about it.
Yeah.
Right.
See, I'm with you. I've never dated outside of my race. I've made it a point to only date Black men. I agree with you when you say that I can connect better. I have more grace for my people because I know the struggles that they've been through. We have some of the same experiences. And if not, then, the system's rigged. So I'm right there with you. However, like throughout life, I've always had maybe like one or two white female friends.
Yep, that's me.
I don't think I've ever had like a really good white male friend. But as far as the females are concerned, we connected on our similarities. So if we like sports, then that's how we connected, and that's where things started. But I have, I guess, been lucky to have friends who also understand as much as they possibly can, like what I'm dealing with as a Black person. They've never been the, oh, can I say the N-word type of person?
Right, yeah,
or
no, we don't do that.
I don't like, never in a place where they don't validate my opinion or my experiences. So even in that, like I've had to open up a little bit more when it comes to taking advice from someone of a different race, even as a friend, even probably as recent as the last month. Like I've had someone who I consider, getting into that friend zone, but she had given me some really good advice. And initially I was like, she doesn't know my struggle, so I don't need to take it. But like thinking about it and pondering on what she said for a couple of days, I literally made a life altering decision. Listened to her, prayed about it, changed my whole life in a matter of 2 days, just based on, the fact that, okay, maybe it's a little bit deeper than the surface of color. Like God can use anyone to speak to you.
Right.
And that's what I found. Like a lot of those pivotal moments I can't necessarily equate them to them being with friends that are Black. Like it was more of just being with a friend, whether they were a Black person or a white person. And it's probably about half and half. But as far as dating, I'm not about that. I can't do that. I can't make it happen. And I commend those who do, but I still pray that hard prayer of God, your will be done. But I need your will to be a dark-skinned, tall Christian Black man.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah, I dated like in high school. I mean, I don't really think that counts anymore. Like that was high school. That was like my only option. But it was never nothing serious. As an adult, no, I've never dated outside of my race. But it's funny enough though that when I really got into politics here in Tulsa, my mentors, all of my mentors were white men, and they were great mentors. And I agree with you, Jamila. Like, I can relate and I can work with a white male
Yeah.
so much easier. But it was just so funny because even though I had 2 kids, they're both chocolate little girls. They look black, but for some reason everybody thought I was dating a white man, or like my kids, like they just thought I only dated white, and I was like, no, we don't do that.
That was shade. Yeah, they was
but
trying it.
They was trying it, yeah. But I just had to let it run off my shoulder. But just dealing, it's interesting because even in politics, some of the men that have hit on me in this state,
talk about it.
White men, older white men.
Yeah.
I've had older white men as old as in their 70s.
Oh yeah, that's that
me.
slave master. Let me just be quiet. Sorry.
No, that's real because I've had it too. Girl.
Yeah,
That's
and
real.
it's that, and so I keep them as friends. Like I do believe there is a lot to learn on a professional side. At the end of the day, when you are in industries and money, government, everything around here is predominantly ran by white men. You can learn something. There is something to be learned, and I have learned a lot from them. And like I said, they are, if you get around the right ones, they will be not only mentors, but they will be sponsors. They will put you in positions that you would have had to work 10 times as hard to get to in the first place.
Absolutely.
But and my experiences in career with white women, I've been bullied. I've quitted jobs because I've had white women who have bullied me into that, and and there was just nothing being done about it. But that, yes, my experience is the same. It's just easier to get along with white men.
I equate that to intimidation. I think that our personalities alone can be intimidating. When I have encountered that with white women, I've always been more educated than they have been. And even if it wasn't in the industry that I was working in at the moment, the fact that I was more educated than them made them almost feel like they had to show me my place. Like, this is where you are. Like, you may have this, but this is your level right here. So you need to stay here. I've never done well with that. I always speak my mind.
Right.
So I have had quite a few jobs where I'm like, Jesus ain't told me to stay here for this, so I'm out of here.
That part. Yep.
But I mean, there are even from those type of people, there are lessons to be learned. Knowing different styles of leadership and understanding, like, hey, this person is behaving this way, maybe because they are, intimidated by you, but also like your style of or your work ethic is not equivalent to their leadership style.
Yep.
So knowing that it may not be a white woman next time, it may be a white man or a black man, and they have the same type of leadership style, and you're like, okay, now I know how to work with that. I mean, you probably give them a little bit more grace because they're black, but same story.
I think that that's interesting because in my professional career with black women, it's always been a problem. I always come in and give grace. Not only give grace, I think I make a lot of assumptions. I do. Because I'm like, oh, you black? I'm black. You went to HBCU? I went to an HBCU. Shout out, FAMU. Oh, my goodness. You this? I'm that. Oh, my goodness. It's a beautiful thing. And then next thing I know, they dog me, right? Or they done threw me under the bus or whatever else. And they drive in the bus that they done threw me under. And I'm just like, I'm always so heartbroken and so down and so angry about it because it's not something that I expect from them. And so I had to learn, like, all skin folk ain't kin folk, but I also had to learn that I can still be for you, not against you, but I also have to protect myself, right? Within that. I can't just assume because you look like me, you're going to have my back. But also my mentors have been white men, right? A lot of them. And like my biggest advocates have been white men. They're like, Jamila, have you done this? Well, you need to get this. Well, let me connect you with this person. Meanwhile, the person who's been sitting next to me know the same people the whole time and they haven't said nothing, right? And so I think that there's that. But I feel like where I struggle sometimes is how long to stay in a space. And what I mean by that is if it is a white woman space, right? I'm the black person in that space, and I'm trying to make room for people that are coming behind me. How long do you stay in that situation before it becomes like I gotta go? It's toxic. And that's what I always struggle with, right? Because my piece is important, but I also want to make sure I can open the door and pave the way for whoever's gonna come behind me to not have to go through these same things I'm going through. So what can I do?
But the crazy part about that is is there even a way to be paved? Because if the same people are still there, they're going to treat the next person that come up the same way.
Okay.
And so sometimes even in leaving, you're not protecting only yourself, but you're protecting the next Black woman potentially from going through that same process. Not to say you're going to protect everybody, because another one could come even without you being there, but it's a little different than to know that you've helped somebody to get to this position only for them to be torn down by the same group of people that were tearing you down.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And that's something I've never considered, like that may not change until the people who are in those positions leave.
Yep.
And I feel like that happens a lot in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, because I've spoken with people who say, I think it was maybe usually that said there's not like a lot of growth in I guess careers. Like a lot of these people are at the top of their career, and if you're underneath them and they see you coming for them, then they don't necessarily they're going to be intimidated, and they're not going to leave, because that's the top. They have nowhere else to go. So
Hey guys, we're getting ready to take a quick break. I know that's happening just the way you like it, like where we can keep you wanting more. We're going to be right back after a short break, and we will talk to y'all soon.
P&J Publishing Incorporated announces a new book release, The Entrepreneurial Woman. The World is Your Playground by Angela K. Chambers, MES. Available right now for pre-order